This is a quick reminder video on how to complete the moss stitch. I have casted on 20 stitches for this example, and you will need to cast on an even amount of stitches from what I've seen so far in most patterns. It's a really easy 4-row repeat where row 1 is knit 1, purl 1 all the way to the end. Row 2 is the same, knit 1, purl 1. Row 3 is purl 1, knit 1 to the end. And row 4 is also purl 1, knit 1. And then you just repeat row 1 and 2, and then row 3 and 4, all the way to where you need to either stop in your project, or if you're doing a blanket, you would just knit the entire blanket in moss stitch, whatever your pattern calls for. So to show this moss stitch, we will knit and purl all the way to the end. You can also do this in the round versus flat. It's the same exact repeat, nothing different. That was row 1. Row 2 is the same, knit and purl all the way to the end. Row 3, we're going to do the opposite stitch starting on the first stitch. Purl, knit, purl, knit to the end. So I'm going to pull the yarn to the front, and I'm going to purl the first stitch. Knit the next stitch and continue. Purl and knit all the way to the end. Row 4 is the same as row 3. Starting with the purl, purl that first stitch, knit the next stitch, all the way to the end. can see how this is turning out. So you have cast on edge and the 2 knits and then the 2 purls on top, which creates this really nice texture. And it will give some squish to your pattern also. So let's do this one more time. Now obviously if you're doing a blanket or any other pattern, then you will, create your borders if necessary. But if you just want a rustic kind of a look, you can just leave things as they are. So we're starting all over with the first row, knit, purl to the end. That was row 1. Row 2 is identical, knit and purl to the end. That was row 2. Now we're going to do row 3, and it's the opposite. We will purl the first stitch, knit the next to the end, purl, knit, purl, knit. That was row 3. Last one. Row 4 is identical to 3. Purl and knit to the end. And it looks identical on the front and the back. Totally reversible. And that's how you do the moss stitch.